following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Barry, sacked by Lawrence. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Heckma Harrison, Rob Phillips, and Kyle Yeomans.
Welcome into a Monday morning edition of Talkin Cowboys presented by Geico. Happy New Year, everybody. And no, you're not tuning into the wrong podcast. It is March 22nd. However, it is the first Talkin Cowboys of the new NFL season. It's officially 2021 around the NFL. So, hey, congratulations, everybody. If I had like confetti cannons or something, I would shoot it off in studio and then Derek could get mad at me later. But I would do it. I just haven't. So, Happy New Year, everybody. It's time to talk some Cowboys. Kyle Yeomans, Heckma Harrison, our resident Super Bowl champion, Mr. Isaiah Stanback. No Rob Phillips today, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, he called in sick. So, no Rob Phillips. I don't know if he's actually sick or not. I don't want to really get.
He has a case of the bubbly.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he may have the bubble guts. I'm not necessarily sure, but we'll give him a smelly sticker whenever he gets back.
I'm sick.
Wanted to wish Rob the best while he's there at the same time. Yeah, Chris Beam just got in my head and said he might be sick of the bracket he filled out for March Madness because I certainly am. I got the bubble guts from that bracket, except for my North Texas Mean Green. Let me go the right way on the camera. The North Texas Mean Green got themselves a win over Purdue in round number 1. First ever NCAA tournament win. The madness has been insane across college basketball. It's been a whole lot of fun to watch. But with that being said, there hasn't really been a ton of madness with the NFL free agency. And, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of 2-year deals. It seems like people are really kind of staying put for the most part, Heckma. Have you been surprised by any moves so far in the NFL? Because really, I haven't seen one that I'm looking at that I would be necessarily surprised by.
Well, you know what? I have been watching all of the deals being made in the NFC East. Those are the deals that I've been watching. And, man, the Washington football team, they are loading up, and by position, and it's not so much the obviously the quarterback that gets Fitzpatrick from Miami, but man, it's Samuels, it's Jackson, it's all of the things that they're doing to make an already good team even better. So, and then you get the announcement with the Giants signing Galladay, and so everybody's reloading, and so I'm really interested to see how much we're going to continue to do in free agency. And by the way, we get a guy that we've been talking about in Keanu Neal. So exciting times, but I don't think we're done. And if we're giving ourselves a grade right now, we're not in the B and A category yet.
No. Not yet. And Isaiah, we'll get into Neal and we'll get into the Cowboys signings in a little bit, but I do want to kind of play off of what Heckma just alluded to in the NFC East. And we've said it really since we were playing Washington in the regular season. If Washington had a quarterback, then they would be a dangerous team. Not only did they win the NFC East at 7-9, but they've got a quarterback now to build around, at least for a year or two, until they get a future long-term quarterback, and that's Ryan Fitzpatrick. What do you think about the Fitzpatrick signing and how that makes this Washington team?
I think he fits perfect out there. Actually, it's actually kind of worrisome being Cowboys employees here. It should make everybody a little nervous because Ryan Fitzpatrick is a competitor. I think that's the one word that follows him no matter where he goes. He's a competitor. He has fun. He's passionate about the game, and he's infectious. And those aren't the words that you want associated as Cowboys fans that are going as the leader of that now Washington organization. So he's definitely a danger to everything going in the NFC East right now. The point he's at his career, I think he feels disrespected at his last stop. So he's going to be out there looking to prove a point again. And I think they have a good guy right now until they find their future.
I'm on the whole other side of that, Isaiah. I really am. I'm on the whole other side of that. I mean, I felt like when Washington signed Fitzpatrick, and I understand the Fitz magic and all of that stuff that people say about him, I just think that he's been this journeyman number 2 quarterback his entire career, and any time that he's gotten a contract that said that you're the guy, he typically wets the bed. And so that's what I'm looking for in Fitzpatrick. I think that obviously the expectation, because he's in the NFC East, everyone's going to start to put 2 on the 10 with Fitzpatrick and say he's better than what he is. But I still think that the Washington football team is in a position to where they're going to have to draft a quarterback. I don't think they believe in Heineke as a starter or a second.
Well, they don't.
Look, Fitzpatrick. Yeah, I think Fitzpatrick does do something for them as far as a glue guy, a situational guy. That's what he's been able to do everywhere he stopped. But I'm not afraid of Fitzpatrick. I'm afraid of the other pieces that they've gotten that may make the job easier for him.
I guess I'm not so much. Let me clarify what I was saying. I'm not so much concerned about Fitzpatrick, the player. I'm concerned about the energy that surrounds Fitzpatrick. The players, not necessarily his abilities. That's real. That's why he hasn't got the big boy contract, because his abilities don't really show that he should get that money. However, he's infectious, right? And when he comes in, he makes things happen, and he has fun with guys. And guys, they can go out there and relax and just play again, right? And that's what's more so scary about him. What he enables the guys around him to do, not so much what he's able to do. So that's what I like about Fitzpatrick, and that's what I dislike about Fitzpatrick, obviously being on the side of the Cowboys.
I could not agree more with what you just said, because I think as a player, Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't scare me in Washington, but as a leader and as an experienced veteran and somebody that guys like to play with, and it's been duly noted that wide receivers love playing with Ryan Fitzpatrick because he gets them the ball and he knows how to spread the love. So I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be better than any other option that was in Washington. I mean, better than Alex Smith. He'll be better than Heineke. He'll be better than Kyle Allen. That's plain and simple. So they have improved their team. But in terms of the future, in terms of building around Ryan Fitzpatrick, no, they're building around the quarterback position, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is that placeholder. That's what it is for Washington at the moment. So, but I still think it's Washington, Dallas, and then there's a large gap between you've got the Giants and the Eagles at this point in the NFC East. Because even with the Galladay signing, Kyle Rudolph also going to New York. I mean, New York doesn't necessarily scare me at the moment. Now, depending on what their draft looks like, and depending on what the rest of their offseason looks like, maybe they scare me a little bit, but not really. I don't think there's any way they're going to jump the Cowboys in my NFC
What about their
rankings.
defense? What about the Giants' defense? And they still have Saquon Barkley, so let's not forget.
Yeah, but their quarterback doesn't
they got
it.
Daniel Jones.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he just doesn't do it for me. Like, I don't consider him to be anywhere near an elite quarterback. And you know, you can say the same thing about Fitzpatrick. However, as we're making that comparison, look at the energy, right? Like, there's no. You look on the side.
No,
Fitzpatrick's up
zero
there,
energy,
grabbing guys in the chest and knocking them around, and what's your name? Just like.
No, Daniel Jones isn't that guy. And I think personality traits for all guys, and you know this, Isaiah, every guy, no two guys are alike, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody's different. So I'm just saying, when you start looking at the way that they're building their roster, and right now, if you're starting to rank teams based off of the moves that they're making in the offseason, you got to kind of look at the Giants too and say, man, they're looking, especially with Galladay. Now, obviously, Evan Ingram, you have question marks there, but then they get Kyle Rudolph. So, I mean, I know he's in the latter half of his career, but still, there's some juice there. And Kyle, look, man.
They still got to fix their O-line, though, heck.
Yeah,
they
the offensive line's still a mess.
Yes, a lot of things to be desired still, but I'm just saying, when you look at the Cowboys and you talk about what we need to fix, come on, let's get into it, Kyle Yeomans.
We're taking the steps, okay? We're taking the steps.
Taking the steps. Yeah, Leonard Williams and Eli Apple don't scare me. I don't even know if Eli Apple's still on the Giants.
Not right now.
But yeah, I couldn't remember or not. But
I don't think so.
Leonard Williams doesn't scare me. That's the point. And so I don't know about that defense. And then offensive line is suspect in its own right. So. Sure. I think if you look at in the vacuum, you look at the signings for New York, they've had a couple of decent signings. You look at the vacuum that has been the signings for the Cowboys, it's been a lot of meh. at least in my thought process. So let's go through some of the free agent signings. I'm not saying that these are bad players by any means. I think these are guys you needed to sign and the type of free agents that we were anticipating the Cowboys going after and signing. Keona Neal is the first one that really comes to mind. Strong safety, 1-year deal, $5 million. It's the biggest contract the Cowboys have allotted to a free agent so far this offseason. Comes over from Atlanta, where he played his entire career in a Dan Quinn system. Was a 17th overall pick back in 2016. Has dealt with injuries throughout his career. 900-plus snaps, though, this past year. Half of those were in the box. So, of course, kind of a strong safety right there with Donovan Wilson. Maybe even there are rumors that he might play a little bit of linebacker as well. But he has an interception, 83 tackles, 9 pressures from a year ago. And if you wanted to compare that to Donovan Wilson, who had 2 interceptions, 48 tackles, and 4 pressures in about 2/3 of the snaps. So now we have a good bit of a competition. So I want to ask you guys, what do you think about the Neal signing? I think this is something that we all anticipated. We talked about it last week before really it was even a done deal, but they did end up making the signing. Where do they go next with him, though? What kind of role is he going to play?
Yeah, I mean, I see him. Well, I remember we talked about it last week, right? I think Heckman and I both picked that he most likely would get signed. However, I don't think that we needed him, at least at the strong safety position. I feel like Donovan Wilson is a younger version of him. I mean, they play the same, right? They're not necessarily going to cover you, but they're going to come up and they're going to hit you. And they bring that energy and they change. They're game changers in that regard. I think that he will be able to mentor Wilson, but I also think that his effectiveness, obviously getting paid $5 million a year, you're not coming in just to be a mentor, you're coming in to play some ball. So I think that those rumors of him playing weak side linebacker, I think that fills out what we've been talking about in terms of the Wolf and Jalen needing another dog on that second level. So I think that if you roll him in there in certain packages, and obviously you have Wilson back there, now you have 2 guys that can run around sideline to sideline and they can run and hit you in your mouth, and it changes the whole complexity and just the whole vibe of your defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can't go wrong with a guy that Dan Quinn is familiar with and guys that can implement his system easily. But I'm reminded of last year, Kyle, when we signed Ha Clinton Dix. Remember how happy we were?
Yeah, we were pretty happy.
What we thought. Yeah, we were pretty happy because we thought we finally had got the safety position solidified, or at least a veteran guy in here, and he didn't even make it onto the roster.
Nope.
And so what I'm trying to do is, use a little Mickey Spagnola here and keep things in perspective and try to be realistic about what we expect from Keanu Neal, because you're right, Isaiah. Him and his ability to look exactly like Donovan Wilson in any set is kind of eerie. So I'm just thinking about the competition that's going to go into OTAs in 2 days with those 2 guys, because having both, we're still at the place where we need to have a safety also, because he's a strong safety. He's a box guy, right?
Yeah,
and so he's going to be covering an area. But I think the one thing that really is attractive about Neal is just his tackling. When he's been healthy, he is a tackling machine, right? He is a tackling machine, and he idolizes Cam Chancellor. So I won't go enforce it. I won't go out on a limb to call him the Chancellor equivalent, because that would be an abuse of the word.
Please don't.
There's only a handful of guys out there that do that.
I'm not going to do that. Yeah. But what I will say is that, as far as our different sets that we use, he can be effective. Now, let's not get the word FOMO, right? We just realized that I didn't know what FOMO meant, fear of missing out. Let's not get FOMO and look around the league and think to ourselves that we got to get every big name that's out there. What we have to do is rectify what's going on the front line. And I think those are also moves that's been made in free agency that are good as well. I mean, the guy Brent Urban from Chicago, 6'7", 300 pounds.
You're getting way ahead of yourself. Way ahead of yourself. I still want to talk about Neal. I'm trying to help you guys.
We're trying to get the.
Oh, stop it!
I'm just talking about how effective Neal is going to be effective because of what's happening in front of him. So my point is, by making the front line better, so you know, your FOMO just kicked in right there because the front line being more effective, I think Neal in the back half of our secondary is also going to be effective based off of those moves that we're making. So whether it's will linebacker, or strong safety, box safety, however you want to put it together, you know, I think his effectiveness is going to be because of what we do on the front.
No, I agree with that. And I think you're going to see that up front, hopefully, with some of the signings that we did make, and we'll go through those in a minute. Plus, we are going to talk about this secondary. Is there a remake in the secondary on the way? That'll be in our second segment. But when talking about Neal, I mean, this is a guy who was a former Pro Bowler. I mean, a former first-round pick. He was a top 20 pick in 2016. Then he played 2 straight seasons with really no injury issues. In his second season, he was at a Pro Bowl level. So now he comes in, and yet last year was really his first year as a Pro Bowl caliber, or not Pro Bowl caliber, but a first year as a healthy starter in the NFL since his Pro Bowl year. Can he get back to that? That's my biggest question, because 1 year, $5 million, that's great. That's a low risk, high reward type of deal. If he turns into the Pro Bowl caliber player that you think he could be, then you'd look at maybe re-signing him next year and trying to put him back on the roster. But like you said, the expectations can't be too high because we've already been burned like that in the past, Hector.
No, and I think the expectation is realistic because the Cowboys see where the rest of the NFL is going in the read option offense. We have gotten our doors blown off by tight ends and slot receivers, and it's been because we have relied heavily on linebackers to just get ran by in our scheme when we were in the 3-4. And so we have to go with someone that can cover. And I think Neal is a guy that we're looking at to be able to be serviceable, or at least take one of those guys off the field to be able to cover. So, look, there's a lot that Dan Quinn is going to have to remake and churn on his defense to get the right combination. And whether he is bringing in multiple guys from, you know, multiple stops that he's had to implement his defense, but he's going to have those glue guys in this defense to have any success.
Isaiah?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I mean, he has to come in there. He has to, you know, bring the culture over. I think more so than anything, I think he's trying to bring over that culture that Dan Quinn is going to be trying to teach, whether this turns into a virtual offseason or not. You know, Keona Neal is going to have a very important role, not only from the player side of things, but also from the leadership side of things. And I think he's going to lean heavily on him in that regard. We'll see if he gets any more of his guys from over there, but I think that was a key pickup from him. More, I know, as you know, analysts on this side, we see him as a player. What we don't see is the inner locker room stuff. And I think the reason why he was one of their first signings is because of that, and probably his ability to lead. So I think we'll see that as a greater impact, and even more so probably than him as a player. But we'll see.
Should be fun to at least have that kind of competition, and a guy that had that amount of talent before his injury issues come in and maybe make an impact on a young guy like Donovan Wilson, and maybe even provide a little competition for Jalen Smith, depending on where he plays on that defense. I don't think he's going to play a lot of free, and there are a couple free safeties that are coming in and talking to the Cowboys this week. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I do want to hit these other free agent signings. Starting on the defensive line, there were a trio of guys signed last week. Carlos Watkins, 1-year deal from Houston, former 4th-rounder out of Clemson. Brent Urban, who Heckma mentioned a minute ago, he's built like a, I would say a fridge, but he's way bigger than my fridge that's in my apartment. I'll tell you that much. He is a huge dude. Built kind of like a one technique, but he might play a little bit more of the edge, at least from what I'm hearing. But he was 1 year from Chicago. Kind of an interesting pickup there, but he's a great run defender. If you watch him on film, he stuffs the run, and that's what's really important, kind of what Heckma was alluding to. If you can stop it up front, you can at least make it a lot easier on the guys in the back. And then Terrell Basham, the other defensive signing, he's an edge rusher, 2-year deal, the only 2-year deal out of all of these signees from New York. Competing. I'm
excited about him.
He'll compete with Bradley and I and Dorrance Armstrong, I think, for roster availability, and I think for some extra snaps. Why are you excited about him, though, Heckma?
Well, I mean, I just think that just raw athletic ability is there. Yeah. He's a try-hard guy, and I think that, coaching is going to help him. And I also think being around Tank Lawrence is going to help him as well, because he was just as raw as Tank coming out of Boise. You look at you turn on the film and you look at, how he works his hands and his feet. He does a good job. It's just sometimes guys just get confused on their moves, feet going one way, hands going another way, and I think he does that sometimes, but I believe that once you refine those little things, you may have a player in a guy like that where, some of your developmental guys, again, there's going to be a lot of competition when you look at these names based off of the guys that we have on the roster right now, the Bradley and Nyes and, Armstrongs. Basham is a guy they're going to have to compete with.
Yeah, no, I just like his motor. Man, I like his motor. I like guys on defensive side of the ball that just go ham. And I think, I've alluded to that here in terms of Dan Quinn. And once we sign on Quinn, he wants the guys that have that go juice. He wants the guys that he doesn't want to have to coach about effort. Right? Yeah. We don't have to, he doesn't want to have to worry about those comments like we've seen this season about, saying I don't go hard all the time. He doesn't want those guys. He wants the guys that he knows what he's going to get out of them. And then guess what? Yeah. Once you have that in you, I can now coach you to be a better player. I can now coach you and critique you, right? And cue you on all those things that make you better, right? Don't do this, do this. Here's a little tweak, right? Talking about D-Law. D-Law can now lead him in those areas and teach him, right, on the field. But this guy has a heck of a motor, and he jumps off the screen at you. We always talk about guys jumping off the screen. When that ball snapped, he is going to the end of the whistle, and he's trying to knock your face off. So the combination of him and the combination of Neal, also those two acquisitions, those guys go hard when the ball is snapping. They don't stop until their head is through your chest. And that is the type of attitude, the type of energy that we need on that side of the ball.
It's the type of attitude that's been missing. What have we said all offseason, or really even all of last 2020, was what do you need? You need dogs. D-A-W-G. You need dogs on the defense. Right. And Basham may not have the numbers. He may not have the skill set. However, he does have that effort. He has that high energy. And like you're saying, I completely agree. I think he's coachable enough to get there. Plus, the front office obviously sees something with Basham because he was the only guy to get a 2-year deal. He was the only guy to have the couple years, which, by the way, this offseason is pretty much the norm because of the salary cap going to explode next year and the year after that. Now that $900 billion with a B, $900 billion TV deal came through.
Wow.
Love that money.
Goodness gracious. I typed that out the other day.
But Kyle, what's your thoughts on him though What's your thoughts on him coming in and what we talked about before in terms of guys that we might be leaving? I know I had threw out Aldon Smith. It will probably be gone. Do you think that this kind of signs the seal of approval, on the exit to Aldon Smith?
I don't really know if it does or not. You're right. It's starting to get a little crowded in the defensive end room because you've got Randy Gregory, Dorrance Armstrong, Bradley and I, now Basham and Tank Lawrence. So the sixth guy could be Aldon Smith, and you're fine.
That's it. It could. Absolutely.
It's a borderline thing. It could go either way. I don't think it signs the seal of approval to say, all right, Aldon, thank you, but no thank you. I just think it might put a little bit more pressure, and it also on Aldon, and I think it gives a safety net to the Cowboys in case he wants to sign elsewhere for a little bit more money. I think that's kind of what it ultimately turns out. Now, I do want to hit these offensive free agents before we go to our first break really quickly. Tai Ninseki, offensive tackle, 1 year, $1.75 million from Buffalo, an Arlington native, grew up just a couple miles down the street from AT&T Stadium, and he's been mowing down defenders through his career as kind of a swing tackle. I'm saying that to poke at Isaiah because of the mower that's in the background. No, he's been a decent swing tackle is pretty much what it's been as an offensive tackle. And then the long snapper on the special team side, Jake McQuaid, the replacement for LP Ladouceur. So long, LP. We salute you here on Talkin Cowboys, one of our favorites. But 1 year from the Rams. I don't either. I don't really like it either. I think John Fossil went and got the guy that he worked with in L.A., and I don't know if they wanted to pay
what else could you ask for? What else could you ask for?
The veteran minimum.
But
that's what they could have asked for.
What can you ask for?
That's what That's what I'm saying. They could ask for the veteran minimum. It was a way to cut cost, I think, is the way it went, which is dumb.
Dude,
I don't know if LP would have taken that.
The best snapper in the history of the game.
I agree. I don't disagree. I don't like it either. I'm right there with you. But what do we think about Tai Ninseki and what he could bring as kind of a Cam Irving replacement as the backup swing tackle?
Well, you knew that they were going to go and get another swing tackle. We talked about that, and getting Ninseki, obviously 6'7", 6'8", guy that's been in the league and a journeyman in the league for a while. I think look, there's no harm in that, right? But you still have the Brandon Knights, you still have Terrence Steele, and you're still looking at. I know for me, I still want to get news on how Smith is doing, how Collins is doing, how is this whole rehab process going. And it seems to me that things are going well because, the Cowboys haven't, taken the glass off the button and acquired a big name free agent offensive lineman. So that just tells me that, look, they're pretty solid or they're convinced where they are right now is, having the guys like Smith and Collins be day one, starters once the season starts.
Yeah, I agree. Heck, I think it gives you a bolt of confidence in terms of where those guys are in their rehab right now. But it's just like if Big Smith and Collins, are your pistol and your switchblade, it never hurts to have a Swiss Army knife. It never hurts to have one of those in your back pocket as well. So I think that's what this move is. Obviously, we lost one, you acquire one. So nothing else beyond that.
I think he's a fun signing. He's once again a nicely sized player, I guess. I haven't gotten to watch a ton of film on him, but I just from knowing what he was during his time at Arlington, during his time at Texas State, I think he's somebody that I think for 1 year less than $2 million is a good enough signing for me to at least think that offensive tackle depth is better. Not saying the position's better because, like I said, I would still like Rashawn Slater up front, but. It makes the depth there a little bit more bearable. Now, when we come back here on Talkin Cowboys presented by Geico, is there a remake in the secondary? Are we going to see some guys shifting positions that we didn't anticipate going into this offseason? Then is there more pressure on 5 specific players going into 2021 than there ever has been? We'll talk about those players in the next couple segments when we come back after the break.
Big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Ah, music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way. Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Whether you're watching from home or you're cheering in the stands, with Essilor lenses, you'll see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local Essilor experts and see what Essilor can do for you. See more, do more. Essilor on Talkin Cowboys. And Heckma, always looking fancy with those Essilor lenses. Now, do you wear those outside of Talkin Cowboys, or is it just on the show?
These are my glasses.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if you were like a contacts guy or if it was just because of the advertisement. It's for real though, because they're legit.
They're legit, and I'm telling you, man. I mean, they got the readers at the bottom and everything, man. It's serious, bro.
Ooh, serious stuff.
I was actually excited. I was driving down 35 the other day, and I saw Essilor's. I guess I'm assuming that's their headquarters. I got pretty excited.
Did you?
I gave him one of these when I drove by. Yeah. Not sure they saw it or not.
Real pumped up. The funny thing is I've got FOMO from Heckma from having those glasses. I can't wait to get mine. I'm super excited to get my Essilor lenses.
Now, have you guys gone to go get your?
No,
they done all of your
stuff. They scheduled it like last week.
Never mind.
We
okay.
didn't get to go.
Okay.
So yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So it's a sore subject.
Let's not do that.
Sore subject, but it was kind of funny. I walking down into the studio this morning. So just to kind of pull the curtain back and kind of show everybody what happened. So my desk is upstairs from where we are right now. And I come down the stairs and I come down this hallway. Yeah, whatever. As I'm coming down the hallway, all the way at the end of the hallway near the TV studio is this video board. And it constantly plays Cowboys highlights, and of course it's like all in slow-mo and you see every angle, and it's a bunch of highlights. It's kind of the same ones they play on the plaza out in front of the Star. However, just so happened today that as I was walking down and I was walking into the studio, the highlight from one Atlanta Falcons game where Ezekiel Elliott was trucking into the end zone and knocking over a guy named Kazi on the Atlanta Falcons.
Number 27.
Number 27, who is now a rumored target, free agency-wise, for the Dallas Cowboys. So it was just kind of by chance, and I walked in and I just looked down the hall and I saw, 21 flattening a 27 and then finding his way into the end zone. So that's definitely something that is ingrained in my head whenever you talk about Damontae Kazi. However, he's not the only free safety that is scheduled to come in and visit the Cowboys, as Malik Hooker is also making his way to Dallas. So I ask you gentlemen, both have had very high ceilings in the past, kind of like what we talked about with Neal, but injury issues have gotten in the way really ever since they stepped foot in the NFL. Both coming off of injuries. Hooker was a MCL, ACL, multiple injuries throughout his career. And then Kazi, in 2018, he came off of a torn Achilles, which he suffered in week 4. So there's been back and forth. Or actually, he's coming off of the Achilles in this season out of week 4. 2018, he actually led the league in interceptions. So my question to you is, which one would you rather have on the Dallas Cowboys? Isaiah, we'll start with you.
I really don't know. I don't think. I'll take either one of them. I mean, they're both of them are going to have to overcome an insurmountable amount of rehab and mental fortitude. I've torn my Achilles, and coming back from that is no jokey. So tearing your Achilles, I haven't torn an ACL, so I can't tell you anything about that. But both of these guys, I think we can get for discount double check. I think you'll more than likely get the Atlanta Falcons versus the Indianapolis Colts, just because of Dan Quinn. So if you had to make a choice between the two, I think you're going to go with familiarity more than anything, instead of him acquiring somebody that he doesn't really know all the ins and outs about.
Man, I wonder if Kazi gets signed, if Elliott will walk up to him and say, "Call me daddy."
Goodness gracious! Wow. Oh my gosh, that was out of nowhere.
When you get chucked like that and you hug yourself, I don't know. How do you bounce back from that? But you know what? He shouldn't feel anything about it, because look, Zeke did that He did that to Cam Chancellor. He levitated Cam Chancellor as well. So that is just a part of what 21 does.
He does it to most free safeties.
Both of those.
Anybody going up against Zeke, it's a freight train versus a Volkswagen Bug. Not saying that Kazi's a Volkswagen Bug, but Zeke is the freight train, and that's going to happen more often than not.
Yeah, there's a bug on the windshield. But you talk about both of these players and what they're able to do from the free safety position. I'm with you, Isaiah. I think there's going to be a discount on both of these players just because of the rehab aspect of it. I believe it was Hooker that tore his Achilles last season, correct? And Kazi from 2 seasons ago. So either way, I mean, the one thing that as a free safety and a single safety high that we're going to be playing with Dan Quinn, guys' ability to read and react is going to be very important. And if they can push off of that, Achilles and the health is there, I think that's the only way that we evaluate and sign these guys. But I'm reserving hope that we go into the draft and get one of these big time free safeties. And so there are a lot of guys out there to be desired, but still that veteran leadership, you can't understate that. And I believe that the Cowboys are just putting themselves in a better position because, Lord knows last season, Darian Thompson just didn't get it done. And you can go back to, whether it be the Baltimore game or the Cleveland Browns game, it's just free safety. There was a lot to be desired at the free safety position. So they got to keep evaluating it.
Isaiah?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm on par with him. I mean, I think we're on the same accord. I mean, I don't think that they're necessarily satisfied with either one of these guys. I don't think that either one of these guys is their answer. But as you go to try to add some depth and some competition going into camp, it doesn't hurt.
It's an interesting point. I mean, I don't disagree, but do either one of these guys really get you excited at free safety? Because that's my question. Because
no,
I don't think so. It doesn't make me excited. Which one? Now let me throw this in there. Would you rather have these two guys, or one of these two guys, or Xavier Woods? Which one would you rather have?
I'd rather have one of these two guys for sure.
Wow.
And that's just finding out if I can get something different than what I've gotten. The effort just hadn't been there. And yeah, that's what we. I did say effort, and it's going to be just like you were just saying, Isaiah. The culture, but also the philosophy change from Dan Quinn. Effort and attitude are things that you can't coach. It's just what you got to be, and I think we hadn't gotten that. And when you're talking about an historically bad defense, if you're just that much better, you're better, and that's what I think we're looking for is the improvement in free safety because. Look, it just hadn't ended well. Even when we have made ourselves believe that we have the guys on campus to get it done, we don't have that. And so names like Earl Thomas are going to continue to come up until we actually get this solidified. Every free agent that's on the street at safety, we're going to start talking about them to get this position solidified because right now, that is a big question mark on your defense is the safety position.
Yeah, it's a big question mark, and you haven't addressed the other secondary position either at corner yet. You haven't signed a corner, and I mean, if the draft is coming up here in less than 40 days now, you're going to be looking really heavy at corner, even in the first or second rounds, because you haven't picked up anybody. And now, one of the guys that we talked about last week as he was released from Chicago, Kyle Fuller headed to Denver. So Kyle Fuller is off the table now. I know a lot of people around Cowboys Nation wanted to at least inquire about what it would take to go get Fuller. Well, RJ Ochoa does fantastic work with ESPN San Antonio and Blogging the Boys. He brought up a great point of Kyle Fuller not coming to the Cowboys that was expected, but he did go in a place that helps the Cowboys, and that was Denver, because Denver holds the 1 pick in front of the Cowboys in the NFL draft at 9. So it might take them out of the running for those top 2 corners, like a Caleb Farley or a Patrick Surtain whenever April 29th comes around. So I'm not saying that they're going to not pick a first-round corner. They could certainly still do that. But it does make things a little bit more intriguing, and maybe something happens to where one of those guys falls to the Cowboys. But no big splash signing. Yeah. Nothing really has happened with the Cowboys outside of Keanu Neal in terms of starting caliber players being signed at the moment. So I ask you guys this question. Did the Cowboys get better this past week at all? Did they get better, or were you just treading water? Okay, why did they get better?
Yes. Because they're feeling their needs, and I think they're letting everybody know, they're guiding everybody in terms of what they're going to do with the draft, because they fill 3 defensive line positions this week, if I'm not mistaken, right? So 3 defensive line positions, and we still have a plethora of other guys that are coming back from injuries and things of that nature. So I think our D line I think they already have that figured out in their head. Linebacker position, well, guess what? We just got a dude named Neal, who probably just going to be playing weak side linebacker. So you probably addressed that a little bit as well. So I think, I think they're letting everybody know that, hey, we're probably about to grab a corner with our number 1, with our first pick, and then from there out, they'll start filling whatever gaps they can, right? We picked up an offensive tackle. We picked up 3 defensive linemen, right? We picked up, what else we grabbed this week? Crap, I can't even figure it out. That's it. That's what we got. Yeah, that's what we got. Yeah. So, and then Neal. So, all the positions that we've been talking about that we need to get better at, guess what? They filled those voids with veterans.
Okay.
So now
they did that last year too. Would you say they got better from 2019 to 2021 or 2020?
On paper, I mean, but that's all you can do is get better on paper until your guys step on the field. I mean, you can't control what happens once the guys touch the field. You just can't. Right? You're hoping. Right? So as a general manager, you sign guys based upon what you have seen before.
Did you feel
so? That's what they look like. That's what they look like on film, and then they look good on paper because they financially fit your mold and scheme-wise they fit your mold. Soon as guys step on the field, that is off. You can't control them once they step on the field.
Okay, but
so on paper, we were.
Just asking you specifically, Isaiah Stanback, GM hat on, and everything. Do you feel better about these signings than you did about last year's signings? Because I felt a lot better at the time about last year's signings than I did about these at the moment.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay, so talent-wise, I felt substantially better last year. Not even a question. Last year, I was a lot more excited about the signings from that regard. However, me knowing Dan Quinn and understanding what he gets out of players, I'm more excited now because I understand. I have a better understanding. Personally, Isaiah has a better understanding of Dan Quinn and his association and what he brings to an organization, what he brings on that side of the ball. The fact that he's kind of getting veterans in these interior lineman positions and these DN positions, those go-getter positions, and then the skill set, guess what? I want to teach these guys. So I'm going to get these younger guys on the outside that are just competitive, long, lanky, like I like them, right? And I can teach these guys, and guess what? They won't have to cover that well. I told you guys this, as soon as Quinn got hired, they won't have to cover as well as you might want them to because we're going to be applying so much pressure that these guys won't have to cover long. Sound familiar? Yes, very much so. Just like the Legion of Boom, right? Those guys was getting after the dog on quarterback and they didn't have to cover that long. And guess what? They got interceptions galore because you had Cam and Earl running around busting cats in their chest, and then you had Sherman out there not having that cover long and the ball's just falling in his hands, right? Not to say he wasn't playing well. He was playing well, but he didn't have to cover that long. So that is exactly what Quinn is doing. I want some vets that I can follow the scheme that I write on the board, go get the dog on quarterback, and everybody else cover until the ball falls into your hands.
Say it with your chest, Isaiah. Stand back. Let's go. I've been waiting for that all offseason. Golly, it was so good. I'm so hyped now. Well, what you just said just backs up the notion that the biggest acquisition the Cowboys have made this offseason is Dan Quinn. That's my thought process.
Yep.
He's been the biggest acquisition. Keona Neal's great. I mean, I think he's going to start for the Cowboys in some shape, fashion, or form, or at least play a lot of snaps if he's not starting. He's going to be probably the best free agent acquisition that the Cowboys make this season. I think Dan Quinn is the best acquisition that Dallas has made, and I hope I'm right about that because last year I was not right about that in terms of the free agents that were picked. I thought they were much better than the Mike Nolan signing. Mike Nolan signing last year, wasn't really excited about it. I was like, why is this guy getting a chance? Whatever. We found out about that later on, and of course it didn't work out. But Dan Quinn, I was really excited about that pickup as the defensive coordinator, and I think he makes this team better. And you're right, building around these veterans, even though they're low-level veterans, excites me going into next season. Now,
how about this?
Okay, go for it, real quickly.
How about this? Why don't we slow down Jim Shoes right quick, all right? Because the question was, are we treading water or are we getting better? And I think right now with Neal, yes, I think that's in the right direction simply because we're so the safety position, there's a lot, again, to be desired there. But we hadn't signed that guy that you can think of being an impact player. I don't see that yet, right? I understand that Dan Quinn is putting his system together, but I also believe that when you look at our linebackers and whether you play at the mic, if you put 54 at the mic, 55 at this wheel, we're going to have to fill in and get some depth there. We just lost Joe Thomas, a linebacker that has been our all-world dependable guy. Yeah. So there are things that we're going to have to do when you talk about the way that teams attack the opposition, as far as when you have a guy like Keanu Neal at the wheel, he's 6'1", 216. If I'm New York, I'm the Washington football team or Philly, and I see Neal out there on first down, even though the NFL has gone to a passing on first down league, I audible immediately, and I run the ball directly at this guy who's 6'1", 216. Now I don't know if
that's why you signed 6'7", 300-pound defensive linemen to now allow those guys to get up to the second level.
Now we talk about scheme. That's what I'm saying. So, Isaiah, when I think about this, I'm thinking about the scheme and how do we fill this in with the 4-3? Because you're not going to be able to play with a Sam, Will, and Mike and those be true linebackers, and you're expecting this guy to stay with tight ends in this league, and teams are going to pick apart whatever weaknesses you have. So the Cowboys are still a couple of players away, and whether they do that in draft or whether they do that through free agency, there's still gaps and question marks.
But do you think that we need a big name guy? I don't think being Dan Quinn, I don't think we need a big name guy.
No, you don't.
I just don't, because so much of what he does is all about your ability to adapt to what he's trying to teach, right? And if everybody does your role, that's all he asks you to do. Be where you're supposed to be and fly around, right?
KJ Wright.
Is he a big KJ out of Seattle?
No. He was a big name because of what he did in a Dan Quinn system. He wasn't a big name prior to that, I don't think. At least not big enough.
Okay. But if you could get a guy, all I'm saying, what I'm saying is that your middle linebacker is going to have to be a guy that can go sideline to sideline in Quinn's defense, right?
Absolutely.
Period. You're still going to have to, because of the way that offenses have changed, you're still going to have a will linebacker with some size on him and on the first down that can cover a slot or a tight end. That's what you're going to have to do no matter what.
I think Neal can do that. I think Neal can do that.
Cover.
And what? Wait, say that one more time.
He's not a cover guy.
No, he's not.
He's not a cover guy.
But I'm saying he could be the sideline to sideline guy. He could be the sideline to sideline guy, and something that he could be in Dan Quinn's system, or he has been in Dan Quinn's system. Yes. And if Dan Quinn saw him and saw the injuries and saw the struggles that Neal had, and then aggressively said, "Hey, let's go get that guy," I think that puts a lot of confidence in me. It puts a lot of confidence in Neal to think that, okay, Dan Quinn thinks he can do something with this guy that is worthwhile for him to come to Dallas, because nobody knows the struggles of what Keona Neal has done and had over the last couple of years more than Dan Quinn. Nobody. So that's
your Achilles heel. That's your Achilles heel on your defense. Offense is being able to convert 3rd and 8s in the first down because you can't get coverage on slots and tight ends. We've been getting killed in that department. So that's why I'm saying, look, Neal signing is important. He can play the box. He's a sure tackler. I like that. But the liability is going to be, where is he in coverage? We're in zone.
I don't think he's as bad in coverage either as where you guys are saying either, though.
Well, what I'm saying is the way that the NFL is changing tight end play. If he's going to have to be man to man on a seam route with the Kelsey.
I don't think he can cover a slot receiver. I think he could cover a tight end.
In this division?
Sure.
In this division?
Yeah, bring me Kyle Rudolph and Evan Ingram. Sure. Jordan Reed, maybe not. Jordan Reed was kind of a monster.
Yeah, Jordan, you talking about Reed and Ingram? No.
Well, that's what the game is for, Kyle. So
but then again, there's not too many guys in this league that can guard those guys, man.
No.
So that's why you rely on the scheme. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So, that's what we're talking about. Dan Quinn wants scheme guys. He doesn't need all American dudes. He doesn't need all pro dudes. He needs guys that are going to simply just come in and say, "Hey, coach, I'm gonna go 100 miles per hour for you. Tell me where you want me to be." And that's all he wants. He wants guys to just adapt.
Check this out. When you're playing zone and your strength is on the inside, you bump your guy where? To the inside, right? So that's as simple as that. If you're playing man, you use the sideline as an extra boundary. Pinball machine. That's it. The philosophy change that Dan Quinn is going to have is not allowing guys to have a two-way goal. Yep. You got to be physical at the line of scrimmage. The tight end position, instead of just giving a guy a free release, you got to bump that guy at the line of scrimmage. Mike Nolan didn't have any success because he was giving two-way goals and still trying to blitz at the same time. And you got quarterbacks like Kyler Murray that have the skill set to say, oh, wow, thank you. Bye-bye. I'm gonna run by you now because I see you guys are all spread out.
All right now. Bye-bye then.
So it just doesn't work. And from a scheme standpoint, you have to have those strengths. We couldn't point to anything on our defense last year that remotely looked like a strength, period.
Yeah. No, I agree. Maybe the edge spot, maybe, but even then you had a defensive line that combined for just 10 sacks. And so I don't know if you could say that's a strength. It was a better part of the defense, but I don't know if you can say that was a flex the muscle strength. All right, we do need to take our second break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the returners for this Cowboys team. Is there more pressure on Ezekiel Elliott than there ever has been in his career with the Dallas Cowboys? But he might be joined in that category by a couple more guys. I asked that question when we return on Talkin Cowboys, presented by Geico.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. When there's work to be done, a real workhorse can make all the difference. Like the Range Boss package. Our 5075E John Deere 75 horsepower tractor features a bell spear and loader and starts at $369 per month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay. No surprises. It works like a horse, so you don't have to.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now, let's get to work.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys and your favorite football team.
Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or at stetson.com.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Back here for the final segment of Talking Cowboys. Glad you're with us here on this self-proclaimed Mean Green Monday as North Texas got an NCAA tournament win. Whether you're watching North Texas go and beat Purdue pretty handily on Friday, or whether you're listening to Talking Cowboys or music while you work out with Bose Quiet Comfort earbuds, you can experience audio at a whole new level. Bose Quiet Comfort earbuds, the official earbuds of your Dallas Cowboys. Heckma, what does it sound like with those Bose Quiet Comfort earbuds?
Fellas, it's like a symphony in my head.
Oh, that's what I love to hear. That was good. That was solid.
Come on, what you say, Zay? What?
Isaiah's really upset.
What?
There's just like a look of disgust. He wanted more.
You know, I need Rob back. Rob
brings it.
Did Bose cut you? They stopped sliding you 20 underneath the table, huh? Okay.
Well, that's cold work. Cold work.
Isaiah, I got an email in my inbox today about Bose headphones for the draft, so you might be getting your pair soon. I'm not necessarily sure. I'm going to see if I can.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's definitely a chance.
Man, I saw that. I saw that email too. And it was like you can either get the headset or the quiet comfort earbuds.
Let's not give it away yet.
I like earbuds.
I do too. I like the earbuds as well. All right. I got the email. They're all great. Really quickly, we've got about 6 minutes left here of the show, and I've got 5 names for you. Who has the most pressure on them this year to have a bounce back year? And I'll give you examples of why after each name. I'm going to start with Ezekiel Elliott. $90 million running back speaks for itself and failed to reach 1,000 rushing yards last year. Now, he did have a banged-up offensive line. Everybody knows that. And he just didn't necessarily have any kind of rhythm all year long. Michael Gallup is the next name, entering a contract year, put up lower numbers in 2020. Once again, didn't have his normal quarterback, but Lamb, Cooper still put up good numbers in their season. Michael Gallup sort of became that third guy, which was a little bit unexpected. Jalen Smith is the third name. Continued to drop off from 2018 form and hasn't lived up to the money since his contract was signed after that 2018 season. Leighton Vander Esch, also a guy entering pretty much a contract year to pick up that fifth-year option. Worst graded year on Pro Football Focus. He was graded as a 50.6 overall. If I went home and handed my mom a report card that said 50 on it, she would disown me. So, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at with Leighton Vander Esch. Played just 400 snaps as well. And then Anthony Brown is the fifth name, cornerback. 85th out of 121 corners last year on Pro Football Focus. And, of course, with the signing of Jordan Lewis, he'll be back in a position battle as well. So out of those 5 guys, I want each of you to give me one, and I'll give one myself. But Heckma, we'll start with you. Which one of those 5 guys has to have the better bounce-back year?
And Kyle, I'm surprised you didn't put Blake Jarwin on that list either. But either way, I'll stay on script.
That's my biggest thing.
Would you say Blake Jordan Lewis myself?
Would you say Blake Jarwin or Jordan Lewis? Like, are those guys needing a bigger bounce back year?
Yeah. I think so, because of what Dalton Schultz did this year. He showed you some moxie. He showed you that he went from being a relatively unknown to a guy that now we realize had a little wiggle to him. He did some great things in 2020. He was a better part of himself. But I am going to go with Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith is the guy that has to do it. And look, we've given Jalen a lot of stuff on this show. And I went back and I looked at the tape too. And I saw on the tape that a lot of Jalen's problems were what was going on in front of him. I mean, his guys just getting blown in his way. But you can't always use that as an excuse. And you have to kind of get through the weeds if you're Jalen Smith to make those tackles, misdirection, something. And he was a liability in pass coverage, period, right? And also, it just popped in my head the fumble recovery, and I mean he had a wide open touchdown. He just wasn't able to hit. He just wasn't able to hit that gear to get it. Terry McLaughlin walked him down, but. You know, look, we've talked about the 2018 season and where he was and all of the accolades that he had received, Pro Bowl, all of that. Just the play has continued to go downhill, and everyone has started to look at Jalen Smith and say, look, well, how many different ways can we remake this guy? We put him at the line of scrimmage. We let him play literally wherever he wants to, and he's making 100 or some odd tackles, but he's not the impact player that we desire him to be. I just want him to get back to that form, get back to the guy that we know that he is playing with the speed that he plays with, you know, and it just last year, I don't want to just take that and make that as a sample size of really who he is, but I just felt like the play has fallen off so far that even from the fan base perspective, they're wondering why he's still getting that $7 million guarantee. So don't want to count his paper, but you know, look, it's just going to continue to get worse for him as far as the way that people perceive the way that he's playing.
Well, I have to double down on that. Jalen Smith is also my pick for the have to bounce back, simply because of the fact that let's be real, he's the energy bus on the second level of this team. So if he's not playing well, then nobody else is really playing well. I think that whatever he did that previous offseason, right, leading up to this season, was not advantageous for him. He needs to change his training regimen, his trainer, his training facility, something. But he was not as elusive. He was not as explosive. He was not as agile as he once was. And I think it really hurt him this year. Yes, Heckma, his defensive line did not help him. And there aren't too many linebackers that we could probably name even on one hand that would have had a successful year. Even the success he had this year, let's be honest, with that defensive line. So, with that said, we do give that grace. However, he has to step it up if he's going to be the self-proclaimed leader on this team, and if he's going to be the cornerstone that the upper management says that he is.
Oh goodness, I remember rolling my eyes so heavily at that statement. I would put Jalen Smith in the conversation. I think he's a close second, and then I think right behind him is Leighton Vander Esch. Both linebackers need to have a better year. Whether it's health, whether it's play, whether it's scheme, doesn't matter. They need to have a better year, period. Now, like you said, I think the defensive line is going to help that out a lot. But at the top of my list is Zeke. And the reason why is because last year you had the excuses built in, right? You had the lack of an offseason. I know he had a great year without a training camp prior in 2019. But 2020, you had the COVID offseason where he actually did have COVID-19 for a good stint of it and a nice little bout with it, or a tough little bout with it, rather, before training camp even hit. You had the offensive line issues, and you had the lack of production. The excuses were built in for Zeke, but if he comes back out and there's a healthy offensive line, you have the full offseason, you have an opportunity to play with your quarterback and Dak Prescott, he's got to have a Zeke-like year, a $90 million running back worth of a year for me to really look at him as, you just used the word cornerstone. I'll reuse it, a cornerstone for this offense, because I still think he can be. I'm not saying I'm doubting what he can do, but last year the excuses were there. There's no excuses for that this year, so I would put him at the top of the list of those five in terms of who needs to have the biggest year going into 2020. But that's going to do it for us here on Talkin Cowboys. Running out of time already. I wish we might talk about this again next week whenever we get Rob back as well. I kind of want to get all of y'all's thoughts on Zeke and everything about it. Yep, we'll talk to Rob Phillips next week. But for Chris Beam, Heckma Harrison, and Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long. We'll see you next week on Talkin Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!